What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Growing Up Hip Hop. This is Season 6, Episode 1. Let's jump right into it. So, we first start off with Tretch meeting up with Tyran, right? You know, Tyran is doing his dojo, karate chops, and all of that. And, you know, Tretch is trying to figure out what's going on with the family. He asked about TT. Tyran, you know, he's the only person in the family who talks to TT. And he's like, you know, she's good. Her and the family, they just moved into the new house. Like, TT is living her best life. So, I don't even know why Tretch asked this question. But he's like, oh, well, did TT and Egypt talk yet? Sir, you should already know that they have not talked and they're not going to talk. At this point, their relationship is done. So then we learn about this whole Egypt Sam situation. So basically, Sam is out here getting into street fights, and Egypt, she's over here getting involved. Some type of way, Sam was like fighting some dude. Next thing you know, Egypt jumps in and she punches some guy. I'm like, girl, anything could have happened to you. Why are you over here trying to fight grown men? Come on now, Egypt. Like, how do you not know better than to jump into a fight with men? Especially considering all men are not raised the same. Some of them will really put their hands on women regardless. And like, girl, you over here trying to fight for Sam. You know, I'm not even about to go. We'll get there. We will get there. So, next thing you know, we see that Tretch's wife has joined the cast. You know, she has been in 2 scenes on this episode so far. She talks about how basically Egypt and Sam didn't even tell Tretch. They told her what happened, but their story is not adding up with what Tyran just told them. So now Tretch, of course, he wants to get to the bottom of things. Now let's go ahead and move on because little twist. For some reason, this boy just cannot do right, but let's jump right in. So we see him, he's in the studio, he's making some song. I will say, the song sounds just like all the rest of the songs out right now. Auto-tune, rap singing, the typical. So next thing you know, Mac Main shows up, and I was like, look at this. We actually have somebody from Young Money who's coming to talk to Twist, because we learned that they're actually trying to, you know, do business with Twist. I thought that Young Money at this point was just Wayne, Drake, and Nicki, because we have not heard from any other Young Money artists. Like, where is Gutta Gutta? And where is, what was that girl? Chanel and whatever other people. I just remember the names from that Bedrock song. But anyways, so we learned that they actually want to put money into Twist. However, Twist keeps making all types of mistakes. So he went to go see his mom in Dallas. For some reason, he was driving around with a gun. So I guess he got pulled over. And now, you know, he could possibly be going back to jail. Keep in mind, that would be his 3rd strike. His 3rd strike. Literally, how old is Twist? Twist gotta be in his 20s still. There's no way he's 30 yet. And you already to your 3rd strike, boy? Get your life together. I will say this, that I did enjoy seeing Mac May break it down to him that, like, the way you living, you're being selfish. You're not thinking about your mom. You're not thinking about your nephews. You're not thinking about anything. As well as him talking about how it's not gangster to be in jail. Like, it's gangster to be free and be able to do whatever you want to do. I wish that Mac May was around more for Twist. And honestly, I think that is what is wrong with Little Twist. He got lost in the industry, and he did not have anybody around him to fully guide him. And no offense to Mac May, but I feel like it took even Mac May years to get to where he is now. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Like, back then, when Twist got signed, Twist was like, what, 14, 15 years old, I want to say, back in the day. So, if we count back, like, what was that, 10, 15 years ago or so? If we count back that long, okay, maybe like 10 years ago. If we count back that long, though, Mac May was not even in the right headspace to be giving that type of advice. You get what I'm saying? So at this point, I do wish that Mac May was around more, because Twist clearly needs guidance. But Twist says he's going to do better because he doesn't want to be like his dad, because as we know, Twist's dad has life in prison. So let's just go ahead and move on. So we go down to Miami, right? And we see Angela and Vanessa, and they're hanging out with Cree on a boat. And I want to say Cree's sisters were there as well. But that's not even the important part. The important part is the fact that Angela is telling us that she's moving to Atlanta, even though she just moved to Miami. Angela has moved almost every season. She has moved to LA. She has moved back to New York. I want to say she had moved to Jersey at some point. She went down to Miami. Now she's going to Atlanta. Because according to her, she has a support system out there. I'm sorry, y'all. I do not see it as her having a support system out there. Here's why. There's no way you're going to tell me that you don't think of your family first, as in your mother, your father, as your support system over his dad's family. There's no way you think that, unless you had a tumultuous relationship with your own family, which you have not. Secondly, I just do not understand her saying that, she has so much support out in Atlanta, but I'm just like, what is Rev Run doing? What is Justine doing? They can be great grandparents. What is her mother doing? Like, her whole family is based in New York. And for her to say that she has a better support system while we sit and watch Denise and what's her brother named Jojo, they're living their life in New York. They're fine. They're not begging for a support system, but you know what? Whatever. She's going to do the woe it's me, I'm a single mom, blah, blah, blah. So basically, she says that, she's going to move down to Atlanta. She already has the house, and it's what's best for SJ, because this way he can be a part of his dad's family. Now, I have a question. Now, I recall seeing a clip of her talking on that Taraji P. Henson Facebook show that she has, and they were talking about being in abusive relationships. My question was her baby daddy the one who abused her? I'm just curious. Because honestly, I would not want my child to be around his family either. But I guess because he passed away, this is the route that she has to go so that he can have some type of bond with his dad's side of the family. But I'm just curious to know if it was him who was abusing her. But anyways, back to the story at hand. You have Vanessa. You already know Vanessa is always shocked that Angela don't ever tell her nothing. Listen, Angela is not your friend. All because Vanessa and Angela are sisters, they are not friends at all, because Angela never tells Vanessa anything. But let's move right along, because we now have Tretch having a conversation with Lazy Bone. I have no problem with Lazy Bone. I'm a fan of Bone Thugs and Harmony, but I'm trying to figure out, how do we add him to the cast and not his children? That is just so random, considering the show is called Growing Up Hip Hop. But anyways, you already know when it comes to Tretch, he is going to have this old head conversation about back in the day, we was trying to get about the hood. Back in the day, we kept seeing all our friends die. Blah, blah, blah. I feel like he has had this same conversation with every old rapper that he's talked to on the show. Because did he have this conversation with Dame Dash as well as some other people? But whatever. The one thing about this conversation that stood out to me was the fact that Lazy Bone brought up the Sequoia and the Simmons situation. And I'm like, how do you even know about that, considering that was something that happened last season? So that kind of makes me wonder, is Sequoia his artist or something? Or was this all supposed to be a part of last season and they just put it in the current season? I don't know. I just thought that was so weird that Lazy was the one who brought up that situation. But either way, let's jump on over to the next scene, because honestly, there wasn't really much with Trench and Lazy. So we have Denise and Jojo. First things first, baby Joey is cute. I don't know what Jojo was talking about, saying that baby looked like him. That child does not. He looks more like Denise. And beautiful child, seriously. I was actually kind of surprised to see that he was making a bottle for the baby and she wasn't breastfeeding. I have no idea why I thought that was so surprising. I guess it's because it's pushed so heavily. Breastfeeding, and people look down upon people who don't breastfeed. I am not one of those people. I was just surprised. But anyways, they have this conversation about how now that she's had baby number 2, Denise does not want to put her life on hold. She still wants to be able to get out. She wants to be able to focus on her businesses. She wants to be able to do things differently than when they first had their daughter. Because basically he was super hands-on with their daughter, but she happened to be working a 9 to 5 at the time. And then after that first year, she kind of took over. But as of right now, she basically wants them both to put in the same effort when it comes to baby Joey. For some reason, he took it as her saying he doesn't help at all. And he wanted to shut down the production because he wanted to have a serious conversation with her. And I'm just like, dude, first of all, they can put the cameras down, but you're still mic'd up. So what are you talking about here? But nonetheless, they figure it out. You have Vanessa and Angela. They come over or whatever. And Angela, she basically tells them that, she has a bunch of clothes from SJ that she could give them. And I was like, of course you do, considering you just had a son not too long ago. So send those clothes right on over, girl. So next thing you know, they talk about Angela moving to Atlanta. Honestly, this was a tour of Angela talking about her moving to Atlanta this whole episode or whatever. And of course she goes on about how, she has her support system in Atlanta, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. Next thing you know, the ladies, they say, oh, well, let's go ahead and have a girls' night out. All right, cool. So y'all, we saw this random little clip of Angela, Vanessa, and Cree, I believe. They were all talking, and it was Angela was packing up or whatever. And they were like, oh, well, since you're going to be in Atlanta, what about you and Bow Wow? Could we not? I do not have time to see Bow Wow this season of Growing Up Hip Hop. Also, it makes me wonder if Angela is going to be on Growing Up Hip Hop Atlanta. Or, because I know that I've heard that she's going to be on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I just want to know what is happening with Angela. Because, no offense, but she is kind of boring. So I don't see how she would fit in on Atlanta. Especially after she ran away from a conversation that didn't even have nothing to do with her later on in this episode. But actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and get there. So, we're at Ladies' Night. It's Angela, TT, and Denise there, right? And again, what does Angela bring up? Her moving. I'm just like, girl, we get it. How many times are you going to tell us this? So, Vanessa shows up, and then Cree shows up. Okay, Cree sat down, and she was already on one. She's like, yeah, I didn't know TT was going to be here. I needed to know that TT was going to be here. I actually need to talk to the Simmons because I can't be faking this moment, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Cree, you are coming in strong. This was supposed to be a fun girls' night. You couldn't pull TT to the side. What is this situation? So, next thing you know, Angela jumps up and she's like, oh, I gotta go because I don't do drama. Literally, the camera follows her. She's like, don't follow me. I'm gonna go get another drink or something like that. And I'm just like, how can she be on Housewives of Atlanta if she's running away from 2 other people having a conversation? I don't think that's going to work. But anyways, Denise, she ends up leaving the table as well. So then Cree, she decides to go on about how TT had this negative energy when it came to her business. And basically, Cree is mad that TT said that Cree is not going to be playing at her wedding. That's basically the problem. And then Cree decides to call TT a bully because she bullied Sam in Egypt. Now, you guys, we have been watching this show for how many seasons? Now, I completely understand how when TT, she drove Egypt around the city of LA so that she didn't have to get that proposal for Sam, even though she still did. That was a petty moment. However, she has not bullied Sam in Egypt at all. And one thing I will say that I respect is that Vanessa chimed in and was like, no, you got the game twisted. First of all, you're coming in, on the tail end of things. Like, Vanessa has been there since the beginning when it comes to the family drama of of Peppa and them. But, Cree, you've only been on one season. So for you to assume that TT was the bully, like, that is crazy to me. But anyways, Vanessa is like, no, those two, hell, and the whole family have bullied TT. You got the game twisted. So, honestly, this conversation, it went nowhere. Because Cree, she didn't want it to go anywhere. She wanted to be right. She wanted to be loud. She just wanted to tell TT off. Y'all already know, TT is not in that space to be arguing with people. I feel like after she got into it with her own family, TT has been over it. She has been over the drama. She's not trying to fight with people. But Cree, on the other hand, I feel like she always has something to prove. And I know that she's going to annoy me once her sidekick comes on the scene as well. What's her name? Stevie J's daughter. I'm already over Savannah. That's her, Savannah. I am already over those two together. But we'll see what happens. So, let's get this last scene out the way. You guys, Egypt's hair. I don't like it. I want her to do something else. I just don't like it. I feel like it makes her look more masculine. And you already know, she's a pretty girl. She has great bone structure. But that haircut, no. So anyway, she has a fro hawk. Who still wears those? We learned that Sam and Egypt, they have moved out of Peppa's house. But my question is, does Peppa pay the bills there? Or is Sam paying the bills with his OnlyFans money? I'm just curious to know. But anyways, we also learned that Sam and Egypt are fighting in the amateur UFC. Now, you guys, why is that a thing? Why is Peppa and Tretch's daughter, fighting in the amateur UFC, when this whole time she's been trying to tell us that she wants to be an artist? Make it make sense. Like, at this point, I'm just like, girl, you're going to let this man lead you down to a life of destruction. But you know what? It is what it is. So Tretch is basically waiting on her to tell him what happened with this street brawl that she was in with Sam. Nope, she is not trying to tell him that. She talking about how she about to be doing music, she about to be doing this and that, how she needs to get some headshots because she wants to do acting. And I fell out when Tretch was like, yeah, well, I heard that the state penitentiary, they take a lot of headshots. I fell out. So he was basically trying to get to the bottom of what happened between her and Sam and whoever else they were fighting. We learned that they went out, they were drinking, and honestly, after that, I feel like we didn't learn much from Egypt as far as what happened in that fight, unless they chopped it up, because she was like, there's a lot of darkness in the world, and it's coming for the light, and all this stuff. And I'm just like, girl, what? So then you had Tretch having to, question her and really try to get it out of her, what happened. Because he was like, okay, so is Sam out on bail? And she's like, yeah, he out on bail. Even Tretch's wife had to jump in and be like, listen, the story that you're telling us is not the same story that Tyran is telling us. So then she had the audacity to say, well, that's like playing a game of telephone. I'm telling you that what I'm saying is the truth, blah, blah, blah. Tretch is trying to figure out, were there guns involved? He over it. He is over it. He done walked out. He had to take a smoke break. He came back. I think that's when he brought up the guns. He's like, were there guns involved? And she didn't want to say. And I'm just like, I wonder if she didn't want to say because that may, put Sam in a bad position, because Sam may have had a gun as well. Like, who knows? All I know is that Egypt is not telling the truth. And even Tretch's wife, I think her name is Cicely. I don't want to keep saying Tretch's wife. Cicely was like, maybe Sam has a reputation for a reason. And I'm just like, we've been saying that for 6 seasons now. Finally, someone's listening. Is that what's happening here? But yeah, you guys, that was Growing Up Hip Hop. I'm glad that the show is back. From the previews, it looks like it's going to be pretty interesting this season. I will say that I didn't see anything about Boogie, so I'm not sure if he's back this season, but we'll see. So I know that I sound crazy throughout this entire review, but I have been under the weather for the past couple of days. No, it's not the Rona, but I am starting to feel a little bit better. So hopefully by my next review of this show, I will sound back at 100%. But go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys.